Good evening and welcome to the evening news for today, Monday, June 6, 2022. I am Jemima Holmes. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's take a look at some of the lead stories tonight. COVID immunization of children aged 5 to 11 to begin on Saturday as vaccines from Spain arrive. Sheraton Hotels and Resorts brand coming to Guyana in 2025. BARTICA boat captain found dead in fuel tank. Carpenter electrocuted whilst using electric saw. And stop skirting around issues. Ali urges developed world to deliver on climate pledges. Now for the news in detail. After a long period of waiting, the country will finally be able to provide COVID-19 vaccines for its children population between the ages of 11 and 5. The immunization drive of this cohort will commence on Saturday with the arrival of 52,800 doses of the novel coronavirus vaccines, a donation from the government of Spain. Rupasinaran reports.
Receiving the COVID-19 vaccines at the Chedijagan International Airport on Monday was Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony and Education Minister Priya Manikchand. The Health Minister underscored that from the 65,000 and counting persons that contracted the novel coronavirus to date, about one-third were children. As such, he emphasized that children are at risk if they do not take the COVID shots. For this to happen, parents need to give consent. Vaccination for children ages 5 to 11 will commence on Saturday at the National Cultural Center, Tarmac.
Once we see that the uptake is good, then we'll work with other partners to make sure that we can get more vaccines into the country. So we have started some discussions in trying to get more vaccines. But we would like to see people coming to get vaccinated. Now, we cannot go and vaccinate a child without parental permission. So when we start the vaccination process on Saturday at the tarmac of the Culture Center, one of the things that we like is the parents should bring the children and give permission so that we can do the vaccination.
Meanwhile, the Education Minister outlined that from statistics, vaccines have proven to slow the spread of COVID. According to Manikchand, vaccines will remain voluntary, but parents should look at the data before making a decision whether their child should get immunized against COVID or not.
Just looking on at that data, it says to us very clearly that vaccines work to prevent spread, to prevent serious illnesses. And unfortunately, countries like ours have to struggle and fight and depend on the graciousness and goodness of our friends in the world and allies to be able to get vaccines in this country. Vaccines will continue to be voluntary. And we are not insisting that anyone takes the vaccine, but we are encouraging you strongly to pay attention to the data. Your one is less likely to get severely ill if they are inoculated against this disease.
This donation is in addition to the 28,800 doses donated in February through the COVAX mechanism. These figures place Spain as one of the largest vaccine donors for the country and the second largest on the continent. Rupa Sinarain, The Evening News.
President Dr. Irfan Ali said that his government will be launching a four-pronged aggressive healthcare plan targeting vulnerable persons and providing specialty care. This, the president said, will be supported by a number of state investments as well as collaborations with the private sector, which includes the development of a center of excellence for cancer treatment. Here is Rupa Sinarain again with the details.
President Dr. Irfan Ali made these pronouncements on Saturday evening as he delivered the keynote address at the Guyana Cancer Society's inaugural fundraising dinner at Project Dawn in Liliendal on the east coast of Demerara. The president said the target areas of this grand healthcare plan will be persons with disabilities, mental illnesses, women and children, and specialty care. Currently, President Ali said the government is working with renowned New York-based Mount Sinai Health System to incorporate the private sector into developing a global center of excellence for cancer treatment.
So we're working with Mount Sinai too to incorporate the private sector into a center of excellence, a global center of excellence in the area of cancer treatment. That is what we're working with the private sector. And that will be part of this 3-year agreement. You will have here in Guyana a center of excellence for cancer care, center of excellence for maternal health and children, and then we will build up our support for other specialized care that is needed, for example, cardiac care.
The president said while government will support the private sector in providing and developing specialty care, they will also need to have some balancing as it relates to cost. The head of state added that the primary healthcare system must be revamped. He noted that the government is also working with Mount Sinai to address this.
So there are some important issues that we must look at in the primary healthcare system that we must fix, and we have to do this through a joint approach. That is, how do we look at a progressive way in which the next generation of Guyanese can avoid diabetes, can avoid issues of high blood pressure? How can we ignite a new form of and a new habit of our eating patterns?
He also stated that although the government will do all that it can to advance the country's healthcare system, it has to be done through a shared and a joint approach where every stakeholder assumes responsibility.
The People's Progressive Party government is working every day to ensure that the economic success of Guyana is guaranteed, according to Attorney General and Legal Affairs Minister Anil Nandlal, SC. He said this while addressing an event called Guyana Day in Florida, USA, in observance of the country's 56th independence anniversary. Shane Marks tells us more.
In order to move the country forward, Legal Affairs Minister Anil Nandlal told scores of attendees at the Guyana Day event in Florida, USA, that the government needs their continued support. With Guyana producing oil and gas, the Attorney General pointed out that the country is growing at perhaps the fastest and highest rate in the entire world. It told the Guyanese diaspora that despite them being away, they remain an important developmental partner.
You have a government in office who are working every day to ensure that the economic success of our country is guaranteed, to advance the social welfare of our people, to create a safe environment. I want to recognize that the government is not oblivious to the crime situation, and every single day we are pursuing different strategies, different methodologies, and different programs to address the crime situation. We are transforming the medical aspect of our country to ensure that we have top-class public health system. We are partnering with institutions right here in the United States of America, like Mount Sinai, the one in New York, Northwell, and other universities out of other hospitals and medical corporations out of China, out of Austria, to ensure that we have first-class medical facilities and public health facilities across our country. We are also working to ensure that our people feel this sense of togetherness.
The AG further told the crowd that the government wants the diaspora to be a part of Guyana's success story.
We want you to be part of our success story because you have been, while away from Guyana, you have been part and parcel of our trials and tribulations, and you must become also part and parcel of our success. And while we are creating important trade linkages in the Caribbean and with other countries in the world, you remain one of our most important developmental partners.
Nandlal added that the other sectors will not be neglected, noting that the government will continue to invest heavily in agro-processing where tremendous power lies. Nandlal also assured those gathered that the events that transpired under the former APNU-AFC government during the 2020 elections can never return because the government is working every day to put systems in place to protect democracy, the rule of law, the constitution, the country, and to protect and advance the economy. Shane Marks, The Evening News.
Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa has assured of a speedy but fully scrutinized process for identifying beneficiaries of the government's one-off $150,000 cash grant for fisherfolk. Andrew Carmichael reports that the assurance was given when he met with fishers at Onverwacht, West Coast Berbice, Region 5, on Saturday.
I met with the other people who are working in the fishing industry. Many times they say that, man, you are giving rice farmers, you are giving other people, and we not get anything. Well, now the president have given $150,000 one-off grant to the fisher folks.
Already, extension officers from the Fisheries Department of the Ministry of Agriculture, along with regional officials of the various regions, have begun to work to identify all those persons who are qualified to receive the one-off $150,000 cash grant, as announced by President Dr. Irfan Ali. Speaking with fisher folk at the Mahaika Myconia Bari Agricultural Development Authority, MMA ADA head office at Onverwacht on Saturday, Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa stressed government's commitment in bettering the lives of all Guyanese.
And since we reassumed government in 2020 August, we have seen a number of cash transfers that we have made to various sections of the population. You all could remember that when we started out in August of 2020, the first thing we started out was a COVID relief, a COVID cash grant of $25,000. We started out with every household, and eventually every family would have received $25,000. And then last year also, we suffered one of the most devastating floods in our country's history. And $7.8 billion we have allocated to those sectors, the cash crop, rice farmers, and the livestock sector.
Another intervention the minister referred to was the removal of all taxes on fuel, which has kept gas prices down despite its upward movement due to global factors, all with the aim of ensuring relief for farmers and fisherfolk and the public at large. Minister Mustafa called on those in attendance to be honest in their representations as it relates to efforts by his ministry and regional officials in arriving at a genuine list of beneficiaries.
Up to now, we are still getting issue with the flood relief that started last year. Everybody last year were farmers, either planting rice, cash crop, or livestock. You understand? Because people trying to smart the system. And I made this point when I met with the fisher folks on the East Coast. I said that let us don't try to smart this system. We will try to ensure that we have a list that is reflective of the fisher folks in our country.
Officials from the Fisheries Department and regional authorities in Regions 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 will be meeting with various fishermen's co-op and groups with a view of arriving at a complete and authentic list of names of beneficiaries of the $150,000 cash grant. Andrew Carmichael, The Evening News.
Marriott International has signed an agreement with H Towers Inc., a Guyanese-owned company whose executive director is Kerwin Ballers, and its U.S.-based partners, the Tri-West Financial Group, Inc., and Black Pearl Holding Co., to bring the iconic Sheraton Hotels and Resorts brand to Guyana. Slated for a 2025 opening, the project is expected to include a 200-room Sheraton Hotel and 224 residences. The two-tower new-build project will expand the company's existing portfolio in the country and is expected to break ground by the end of the year at a location in Providence, East Bank, Demerara. Planned amenities for the hotel include a swimming pool, 24-hour fitness center, specialty restaurant, meeting and conference rooms, state-of-the-art spa, and the brand's signature bar, coffee market concept. The project includes a residential component as well as 224 residences will be housed in the second tower, connecting with the hotel via a sky bridge. Coming up, man gunned down at East Rheinveld and no more cordon and search exercises. More intelligence-led operations needed, says police commander. Do stay with us. More news ahead.
Sunshine snacks, cheese balls, grab a sunshine, double cheese balls. We a crunch on a cheese balls. Daddy nickel pick, double cheese balls. Sunshine snacks, cheese balls, grab a sunshine snack, cheese balls. Love cheese in every bite, flavor in every crunch. Extra cheese, we love it so much. Love cheese in every bite. Grab a sunshine, double cheese balls. We a crunch on a cheese balls. Daddy nickel pick, double cheese balls. Sunshine snacks, cheese balls.
Grab a Sunshine Snacks Cheese Puffs today. More cheese, more flavor.
Superbet safety tips to help fight COVID-19. Practice regular washing of hands with soap and water or alcohol-based solution. Remember to always wear your mask whenever in public areas to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Clean and disinfect high-touch surfaces daily with soap and water or detergent. Practice physical distancing by staying at least 6 feet away from others. Superbet cares about you. Let's help keep each other safe.
Get in the game, get in the game, get in the game with Buster Play.
Get in the game with Buster. Win a full gaming setup, Xbox X, gaming chair, gaming speaker and headset, or any of over 60 weekly prizes like Oculus Quest 2, Mini 2 drone, Nintendo Switch, Xbox X Series. Just purchase any bottle of Buster, Turbo, Altitude, Classic, or Viva and look for the code on the bottle. Then visit Buster Instagram and Facebook at Buster Guyana for more details.
Miners, welders, and contractors. Have broken parts caused you tremendous downtime? Do you need an extra heavy-duty, dependable welding machine that will get the toughest jobs done and can also double as a generator to power all of your tools? Well, your #1 industrial solutions provider Sylvies has you covered. We currently have in stock the Hobart Champion Elite Arc Welder and Generator. This capable electric start generator produces up to 11,000 watts of AC power to run tools, work lights, or backup power during an outage. It can simultaneously deliver 150 amps weld output and 8,000 watts of generator power and can run up to 14 hours on one 12-gallon tank of gas. This portable generator handles mild steel, stainless steel, and cast iron with a maximum thickness of ½ inch in a single pass. So what are you waiting for? If you can't make it to our 31 High and Hatfield Streets Georgetown location, we can deliver. Give us a call on 227-6226 or WhatsApp us on 623-7755 or visit our website sylviesonline.com. Sylvies Industrial Solution, proudly serving Guyana for over 4 decades.
Welcome back. You're watching the Evening News. Police are investigating the circumstances surrounding the death of a boat captain whose body was found dead in a fuel tank at the David Sherlands Wharf, located at Adventure Region 2. He has been identified as 28-year-old Sagon Hopkinson of Bartica Region 7, who was employed to transport fuel to a popular gas station along the Essequibo coast. The man's body was discovered on Monday at around 7 hours, with suspected gasoline burns on his skin. According to information received, Hopkinson was offloading fuel when vapor entered his respiratory system and caused him to suffocate in the fuel tank. The body was fished out of the tank and escorted to Suddy Public Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. A 30-year-old carpenter of Company Road, Buxton, East Coast, Demerara, was on Sunday morning electrocuted whilst using an electric saw. Dead is Conrad Spencer. The man was at Joseph Street, Buxton, East Coast, Demerara, where he was building a wooden stairway. Police explained that whilst in the process of cutting wood with an electric saw, he came in contact with a live wire and was electrocuted. Spencer was later observed lying motionless next to the workbench with an electric saw alongside him and his body facing upwards. On his right hand, he had what appeared to be burn marks around the elbow area. Investigations are in progress. Police are investigating the circumstances surrounding the death of a man whose body was found during the wee hours of Sunday, found on the roadway at Self-Help Square, East Rheinveld, Georgetown. The man, whose body had bullet wounds, had been identified as Dexter Roland Lynch. At around 3:05 hours on the day in question, cops received a report from an unknown caller about the body on the roadway. Upon arrival at the scene several minutes later, officers observed the victim lying face down. What appeared to be a gunshot injury was seen on the left side of his abdomen. The scene was processed by the officers and 1.40 spent shell was recovered about 6 feet south of the body. Also found next to the body was a haversack containing 2 bottles of alcoholic beverages, 2 bottles of cologne, 2 body sprays, 2 knives, and $18,860 in cash. Investigations are ongoing. Luanda McAllister joins us now to report that Commander of Regional Division 4C, Kali Parashram, has announced that his division will no longer be conducting cordon and search operations, but rather there will be more intelligence-led operations, since it is more helpful to the police force. Here's more.
Cordon and search operations for years have been the Guyana Police Force's tactic that was used to clamp down on illegal activities. It has also aided in the discovery of several weapons and illegal drugs across the country. Last year, the Guyana Police Force had reported that an increased number of prosecutions, cordon and search operations, and enhanced vehicular and foot patrols had led to a 22.7% reduction in serious crimes countrywide during the first half of the year when compared to the previous year. However, even with these positives, some citizens are of the opinion that these kinds of operations are an infringement of privacy. In this light, Commander of East Coast Demerara Kali Parsham said more attention will be placed on the intelligence-led operations. This will include more planning, direction, and in-depth investigation.
We are not doing what we call in the past cordon and search operations where we were cordon a whole block. We are now doing targeted operations. Targeted operations in the sense that most of our operations now are intelligence-led. Through our intel gathering, we are having the available information before we come to a particular residence or a particular area.
In a previous interview, he had noted that the use of more technology throughout his division will also create a safer and more secure environment for citizens. Nevertheless, the commander took the opportunity to implore residents to continue to exercise patience and cooperate with the ranks for the benefit of everyone.
I just want to ask the residents to have some patience with us at times. As I said, it is the most populated division across the country. And as we envisage to provide that service, we want the residents to work with us.
Reporting for the Evening News, I am Luanda McAllister.
While highlighting the dangers of climate change and the risks to the natural environment, President Dr. Irfan Ali on Sunday renewed his call for developed nations to make good on their pledges toward environmental preservation. The president made the call while delivering remarks following the World Environment Day walk organized by the Environmental Protection Agency. Shane Marks has the details.
We have to stop skirting around issues globally. We have to deal with things in a realistic way, in a fair way. We cannot have one world with the type of inequality that exists in the system. And it all comes back to climate change, adaptation, mitigation. Because if you look at some countries that have high deforestation rate, there is high deforestation rate because people are going after economic opportunity, livelihood opportunity. They were going after opportunity to keep food on the table for the children and their community. Why is it unsustainable? We cannot escape this reality.
President Dr. Irfan Ali on Sunday delivering remarks at the National Park following the World Environment Day walk organized by the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA. The Guyanese head of state emphasized that the climate change conversation cannot happen in isolation when more than half of the world lives below the poverty line or does not have access to basic necessities such as clean drinking water.
But the fact is we cannot address climate issues unless we address the fundamental needs and wants of human beings. We cannot even speak about climate change if we have people who are hungry, people who don't have access to water, people who don't have access to wages and earnings,
they have no other alternative but to seek out every possible way to survive.
Meanwhile, President Ali also contended that in Guyana, persons need to change their style and culture with regards to how they treat the environment.
We all have to take ownership of the problem. It is not a government problem. It is not a private sector problem. It is a humanity problem. We must all take ownership of the problem. And when we take ownership of the problem, we must jointly take ownership of finding the solutions.
Shane Marks, The Evening News.
On the heels of complaints filed by fisherfolk, the Regional Democratic Council, Region 6, will be moving to clean out the Kanji River, which is burdened in some parts with thick vegetation. Andrew Carmichael reports.
Regional Chairman David Armagon made the revelation during a recent address to the RDC, noting that an aquatic weed eater will be contracted to undertake the job of removing weed from the river. Fisher folk who operate in the waterways along with other boat owners have complained of the damage they sustain as a result of the overgrown vegetation. The fishers who operate from Rusignol recently complained about the improper disposal of grass which flows out of the Kanji River into the Berbice River, thus affecting their trade. Several fisher folk vented their frustration, claiming that the grass when cut is left to flow into the river. As a result, the weed becomes entangled with their fishing gear, resulting in severe damage. Contractors are employed by the Region 6 administration to cut grass from the shores of the Kanji River twice per year in order to keep it clear. If left untended, the grass will cover the river, making it impossible to use it. On many occasions, the river becomes blocked at some points. However, fishers who operate in the Berbice River say that the grass floating out has been costing them financially to replace damaged equipment. The fisher folk in Region 5, Mahika Berbice, have been for years appealing to authorities to have the contractors cut the grass into smaller pieces to have it float out of the Kanji River, which flows into the Berbice River. Armagon said they have appealed to the contractors on several occasions, but sometimes it is difficult for these companies and individuals to do what is required. Addressing the Region 6 RDC on the issue, he explained that the Chief Fisheries Officer, Denzel Roberts, has written to him asking for the regional administration to meet with the grass cutters.
They're cutting it too big and they're pulling down the sails of these fisher folks within the pens, right? The fish pens. You know, they stick these things out there. And so when the grass is coming, sometimes looking like an island, right? It carries away all these pens and so we're going to call them in, we're going to have a dialogue with them to make sure that they can cut this grass a little bit smaller so they can float out.
Meanwhile, the regional chairman announced that very shortly a grass eater will be arriving in Guyana. The Agriculture Ministry has already made the purchase.
One of these things that would go into these canals and so, and eat out the chips of grass are very good. I don't know how to process, but they call it a grass eater.
Andrew Carmichael, The Evening News.
And now for a look at the bridge reports.
The Demerara Harbor Bridge is scheduled to be closed on Tuesday, June 7th at 23 hours for a period of 1.5 hours. Meanwhile, the Berbice River Bridge will be closed on Tuesday, June 7th at 9:10 hours, also for a period of 1.5 hours.
Support needed as Golden Jacks play home games this week, and T20 Blaze to light up Providence as action set to kick off tomorrow. Details of these stories and more in this podcast, sponsored by MacCorp, coming up on the other side of the break.
Looking to bring your dream home to reality or simply taking on a home improvement project? Then National Hardware Limited is where you should start. Let us put that touch to your home. Choose from over 1,000 Berger Paint original hues for any surface. We are known for our trusted brands such as Westinghouse, Philips, Satco, Rubbermaid, Pyrex, Gibson Home, and so much more. National Hardware Limited, your do-it-best store, located in downtown Georgetown and industrial site Rheinveld.
Here's what's happening on Waterloo Street at John Lewis Styles during the month of June. Shop for Father's Day and you could win an all-inclusive trip for two to Arrow Point Nature Resort. Buy any men's suit and get a free tie, or buy any men's pair of shoes and get a free pair of socks. Traveling this summer? Buy any luggage set and get a free travel pouch. Visit us on Waterloo Street for more choices and better prices. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.
Get the right seal right now from Industrial Supply of Guyana, Inc., your immediate SKF sealing solutions. The SKF Seal Jet Machine is capable of building seals from 5mm to 600mm in diameter in under 5 minutes. With technical support readily available, you can get a customized seal to suit virtually any industrial application, like buffer, rod, wiper, and piston seals. SKF Seal Jet Machine, now at Industrial